I'm making this video as a sort of closure, to get closure from the very traumatic experience caused by my interaction with Millennial Woes the other day. My therapist told me that I should make this video, and he said it would help me. He also gave me some really clever advice. He told me to take every day as it comes, something like that. To take it one day at a time. That's what he said, to take it one day at a time. And it was difficult. I had to wait a while for him to finish a sentence because his mobile phone kept going off and he kept picking it up and looking at it. I think actually he spent more time looking at his phone than looking at me. We did it through Zoom because he got that disease, I'm not going to say the disease. I'm not going to tell you what it was, because if I do that, YouTube will put up a disclaimer which promotes the scamdemic. So I'll just give you a hint, guys. He got that disease. It's 5 letters. It starts with C, it ends in D, and there's a V in the middle. So he got that disease. I think it must be the 50th time he's gotten that disease. And he's taken about 20 syringes of medicine that's supposed to stop you from getting the disease. But he believes that, the only way to lick the disease is to keep getting more syringes. And yet he keeps getting the disease again and again. It's very strange. Very strange. I feel like he's a hamster on a wheel. He's a hamster on a wheel. That's what I feel like. But he's an normie, guys. My therapist is a normie. He represents the majority of the people out there, which means if you disagree with his, how he lives his life, you're the crazy one, you're the crazy one. So just remember that. It's normal to constantly get a cold, constantly get some, big pharma cocktail put into your veins, and yet you'll keep getting the sickness, which is, which proves that it's actually working. It proves that the cocktail is working. The fact that you keep getting the disease again and again, it's an incredible thing, really. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Yeah, that's what he told me on Zoom. He said, just take it one day at a time. I had to pay 120 euros for a session with him on Zoom. It lasted 40 minutes, and as I said, most of that was him just looking at his phone and sending messages on his phone. But he has lots of degrees up on his walls in his office, so I'm not, maybe the way he conducts his sessions might seem unprofessional to us, but he's the expert, guys. So plus, he got that disease lots of times, which is a medal of honor these days. Guys, I want to thank you for your support. The last video, a lot of my subscribers, they sent very kind messages. Some of them contacted me personally, wishing me well, telling me not to be upset over what Millennial Woes called me. And, I really, from the bottom of my heart, guys, I really thank you for that. It made me feel a little bit better. Not a lot better, but a little bit better. At the same time, guys, not enough of you liked my video on YouTube and Odyssey on BitChute. And on Odyssey and YouTube, the dislikes are mounting. And that tells me that the followers of Millennial Woes, they're known as the Woasians. They're from the Woasian school. they obviously are circling the wagons around their beloved leader, and they're now trying to sabotage my YouTube channel and my Odyssey channel by disliking videos, etc. That's disappointing because not enough of you on my side liked my videos, which means that very soon the dislikes will be more than the likes. So, very disappointed in you guys. At the same time, thank you for your kind words. I am a delicate flower, a shrinking violet, if you will, and I feel very, very vulnerable at the moment. So every positive message, it does help a bit. You know, as Tesco says, every little helps. Every little helps. So yes, the Woasians they're fanatics, guys. They're fanatics. If you say anything against Millennial Woes, the Woasians will come after you. They'll spiral and they'll come after you, full of vitriol and venom and just hatred in their hearts. And, you know, their mantra, the Woasians, their mantra is, what would woes do? That's how they live their lives. What would woes do? So you've probably seen them, you know, out and about. You've probably seen a Woasian in the supermarket, for example, walking around in a dressing gown and slippers in the middle of the day. And they're all red-eyed because, you know, they haven't slept in about 5 days because they've been up all night, up all day, programming for a 2-second graphic, They've probably put 200 hours of programming into a 2-second graphic. They are fanatics, and they do it not because they love programming, because it's with the mantra. It falls into the mantra. What would woes do? They're always trying to emulate their beloved Millennial Woes, or as they call him, Wozy. Yeah, have you heard of otakus? Otakus are fanatics into Japanese animation and all this, and they will watch Japanese animation in Japanese, and they won't even put up English subtitles. They'll just watch it and listen to it in Japanese, even though they don't understand a single word, because for them that means it's an authentic experience. These are otakus. These are fanatics for Japanese animation in general, anime as they call it. And the Woasians are not so different. There are some Woasians who can't speak a word of English, and, you know, what would woes do? Well, these Woasians, they go onto the internet and they buy box sets of Doctor Who, and they sit down for days upon days and days and days watching Doctor Who in the original version, not understanding a single word. But they do it because what would woes do? What would woes do? If Millennial Woes told his minions, the Woasians, to jump off a cliff, the Woasians would not ask how high, because asking how high involves critical thinking skills, and the Woasians do not have critical thinking skills. They would just simply jump off the cliff, you know. That's what you're dealing with. Yes, what would woes do? Yes, Woasians are also known to go into synth shops with smelling salts in their pockets just in case they faint. Because seeing so many different models of synths in the same small area sends them into, into a panic mode, into an excitement mode, and they just fall down onto the floor. And the smelling salts are in their pockets so that the clerk in the shop can bring them back to life, as it were. You know, these are the Woasians, a strange people. We do not understand their ways, but they are also very, very dangerous, and they are very similar to, if you remember a few years ago, you had Owen Benjamin and the Bears? And if anyone said anything against Owen Benjamin, the Bears would destroy that person's life. Well, the Woasians are like the Bears multiplied by 100. So there you go. Now, I'm going to get into, because there is a bit of light at the end of the tunnel here, guys. There is a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm going to get into that towards the end of this video. I wanted to find out a bit about Millennial Woes. I wanted to find out a bit. I knew a bit about the guy from his videos and articles, etc. But I decided that I would look into the company that he keeps, because they say that you know a man by the company he keeps. You have a measure of the man by the company he keeps. And these are some of the unsavory characters that popped up. Some of these are associates. I think they're all associates of his, presently or formerly. And I'm going to quote things that these characters might say in the future. These are not things they have said, but things they could possibly say in the future. Now, I have changed the names of these associates of Millennial Woes to hide their identity. So we'll start with the first one, Thomas Baden Rice Krispies. Okay, so this is one of his possible quotes in the future. Let me just, Rothschilds, let me just. So that was Thomas Baden Rice Krispies. The next one is Academic Asian. Trumpton, he. Flat White, he. Macho Man Randy Savage versus the Ultimate Warrior, he. Trump, he. Scattered, a bit scattered, it's awfully scattered. So there you go, that was Academic Asian. Another character is called Some Frenchie. I'm trying to read the writing here of this possible statement in the future by Some Frenchie. I drove to the middle of nowhere and released, how you say, my wife into the wild. Okay, so that's another associate, presently or formerly, of Millennial Woes. The next one is called Kevin Woods. And this is a possible quote from him in the future. From an ontologically qualitative and dialectical perspective, if it does not come from official government sources, then it's not in any way true, or better said, a truism. A truism. So that's Kevin Woods. So just, it gives you a sense of the type of person Millennial Woes is. These are the unsavory characters he hangs out with, or hung out with, I don't know which. Okay, guys, we move on to Millennial Woes apology. Now, I was waiting yesterday for an apology from Millennial Woes for calling me a wanker, for using sexually explicit language, and there was none forthcoming. And I thought maybe there will never be an apology from Millennial Woes. But then I thought, no, let's not be too rash here. It's possible he's very busy. It's possible Millennial Woes is out golfing with his buddy Elon Musk. Or maybe he and Elon Musk have just finished a game of croquet and they're now having high tea and crumpets. That's what I was thinking. I said I will give Millennial Woes the benefit of the doubt. He hangs out with some very, very powerful people. Very important people with very important work. And he's just not going to have the time to send me an apology. But a number of hours later, an apology came. It was an apology, and it was also an insult at the same time. I don't know about you, but women tend to do that. They don't really say sorry. They kind of just say, oh, oh, I was very emotional at the time, and you're also a horrible person. They will kind of turn it on you, project on you. They will never own up to having done something wrong. Yeah, the insult part is, quote, I was annoyed because your tweet above is silly, unnecessary, unhelpful, and bitchy, unquote. And I thought this doesn't seem like an apology, but then I scrolled down and then at the very end he said, quote, if my reply to you really did upset you, I apologize, unquote. So it's in the conditional. He's not actually apologizing. He's not apologizing. He's saying if. So it's in the conditional tense, guys. So I don't think that's really an apology at all. I don't think that's an apology at all. And saying my tweet was silly, unnecessary, unhelpful, and bitchy, that doesn't sound like an apology at all, guys. I think he's insulting me even more. But you know what, guys? I told you this video will be about closure. I'm going to be the bigger man here. I'm going to do something nice. I'm going to do something nice. And that will be it. That will be the end of the drama with Millennial Woes. In the description of this video, I'm going to share a link to an article written by Millennial Woes on the passing of Sinead O'Connor. It's a very well written article. So I'm going to be the bigger man, and I'm going to promote Millennial Woes' writing and his essay on Sinead O'Connor. Ergo, I'm going to be the bigger man here. I'm going to be the man with more virtue. I'm going to be a better person than Millennial Woes by telling everyone that Millennial Woes is a very deep thinker, and he's a good writer, and he's a good communicator. So I'm going to do what he did. I'm going to kind of insult him and at the same time say something nice, more or less. So Millennial Woes, from my experience in the last few days, he can be very malicious. The reason I made that last video was because I was feeling so vulnerable, guys, so upset, so hurt. And I was thinking that it was like a public service video because I'm an old guy, but I was thinking of the young Woasians who love Millennial Woes, who would do anything for Millennial Woes. What if he turned on them one day? How would they cope? I don't think they would cope at all. I don't think they'd see a reason for continuing, I think they would be even more vulnerable than I was. So it was a public service video, the last video, because someday they might ask him some questions. The reason I asked him those questions, I wasn't being bitchy, I wasn't being unhelpful. I see lots of tweets from different people talking about billionaires, celebrities, and using their first name as if they know them. I find it very strange. And I thought, when I saw Millennial Woes tweet, I said, I'm finally going to ask what this is about. I want to know the motivation for this. Millennial Woes is the guy to ask. He's a soft-spoken guy. You think of softness. He's always saying, let's just get along. Let's just hold hands around the fire and sing Kumbaya. Let's not debate. Let's not argue. Let's all just be agreeable. Let's all be agreeable. Like women, let's all just be agreeable. And I thought he'll be the guy to ask because he will not get emotional. He will not get upset. He will answer the question. And, he's ever so wise. He's ever so wise. So I was looking forward to his answer. And then to be called a wanker, that was quite devastating, And then when I tried to, I sent a reply to that asking him for clarification, and my message wouldn't go through. And it was then I realized that he'd blocked me. And I thought, that's not nice. I expected more from the Ned Flanders of nationalism. I expected more from the Mother Goose of nationalism. But that's what happened, guys. He insulted me, and then he blocked me, so I couldn't respond to his insult. And I'm being honest here, guys, but I'm also trying to be nice to Millennial Woes. In fairness to Millennial Woes, he took down the sexually explicit tweet. His reply to me, he took it down. He also unblocked me so that now I can see his tweets and he can see my tweets. And I believe, guys, as I said, there is light at the end of the tunnel. We might not agree on everything, but I think we shouldn't always be so damn agreeable. It's not good, it's not healthy. You have to be honest. To thyself be true, guys. To thyself be true. So, look in the description of this video and you'll see a link to Millennial Woes Substack. He's a strange fella. He lashes out. He uses sexually explicit language. But at the end of the day, he's a damn good writer. He's a damn good speaker. And he's an important person in these circles.